Hey friends, welcome back. My name is Christine and we are swimming in Super Sweet 100s. There's a third jar here and I wanted to try a new project. We are going to make some pickled cherry tomatoes. It's a really simple recipe and it only takes like 15 minutes or so, but then the end product, we'll test them out at about 2 days. So I just thought I'd show you kind of the easy steps. So come on with. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is get the brine going because you actually have to let it cool completely before you add it to the tomatoes. So I'm gonna get the stove going here. We've got some of our liquid here. So it's 1 cup of filtered water, which I took out of my filtered Berkey. And then I like to use apple cider vinegar with the mother, which is like the floaty stuff in the bottom. It's all the good stuff. So we're also adding 1 cup of that. And this will produce 1 pint of tomatoes, even though, well, it's 1 pint of tomatoes, even though it's in a quart-sized jar. And then we're just gonna add our salt, which is, it's kosher salt, so it's, it basically doesn't have any of the iodine in it. That's what pickling salt is. 1 tablespoon. And you're gonna bring that up to a simmer. You don't really want it to boil, and just make sure everything is dissolved. And then, oops, also 1 tablespoon of sugar. So easy peasy. And we're just going to kind of watch it as it goes, and then I'll bring you back once everything is dissolved. And then meanwhile, that's cooling, we're going to prepare the tomatoes, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, we're officially at a simmer, so I'm going to take this off. I'm just going to scoot it over. It did not get to a full boil. It just simmered and everything is dissolved. So now I'm going to let that cool totally before we add it to our tomatoes. So meanwhile, I have the brine cooling on the stove. I've gotten started with just poking with a toothpick a hole into the Super Sweet 100s, or any type of cherry tomato that you like. A lot of people use the yellow ones. I've never actually grown those before, except for kind of the pear shape heirloom ones, and they're delicious too. So I'm gonna get busy. I've got just a little bit over a pint because what we'll be using is a quart jar. So I figured I could go a little bit over, and we are swimming in these tomatoes. So I'm really excited to give this a try. We love almost all things pickled. So I'm looking for recipes to use up our tomatoes, and our friends and family are kind of getting tired of getting tomatoes from us, but we love them. We eat them pretty much at every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I've made my salsa, which I've done a recipe on that. I've done a video. And then something new I tried this year, I made a spiced tomato chutney, which is delicious. So not spicy, just spiced. So it has cinnamon and clove. And I thought it would be really fun for fall. So I made about 8 half pints of that. Used some pectin, and so it's a little bit thicker to like spread on toast or cracker with some cream cheese. It's really delicious. So I'm gonna get finishing these up, and then we'll start putting all of the rest of the pickle ingredients into the jar. Okay, I've got all the tomatoes done, set to the side, and now we're adding our ingredients. I am dicing up with my little dicer 2 pretty big cloves of garlic. My husband and I love garlic, so there's 1, and I just kind of got it ready off to the side, and 2. So I'm just going to take that and add that to the jar. And I'm so klutzy, I always like to have my actual funnel on top of my jar. Even if it's something simple, it just helps me make sure that I get all of my product in there. All right, so 2 cloves of garlic, and this is for a quart size pickled item. So you can use this recipe to pickle other things as well. And this is 1 pint of tomatoes, little bit more just because I have extra. Crushed red chili pepper. I am adding a half a teaspoon, and you can do more or less to taste. We like it just kind of medium, normal zingy. And then mustard seed. You can use yellow or black or a combination of both, and I'm adding 1 teaspoon of that. And then I've got my peppercorns, black peppercorns, also 1 teaspoon. So keeping it super simple. So now all of that is in there. And we're going to actually add the tomatoes now. And I did take the brine off of the stove and I have it in the fridge. So I'm just kind of waiting for that to like get, you know, pretty much totally cool. And there we go. And then I did grab out my fermenting weight, because what you want to do is you want to make sure that all of the tomatoes are covered in the brine. And then I'm just going to set them on there lightly. I don't think it will squish them or anything. So we'll see how that works. This is my first time trying it with tomatoes. I've done the refrigerator pickles and things like that. But yeah, I'm really excited. So I'm going to wait until that cools, and then I'll show you pouring it on top. Okay, here we go. The brine is totally cooled down. I had thrown it in the fridge and it's down to 70 something degrees. So I think that's good. I did grab my chopstick. So after we get the brine in, I'm going to do a little bit of stirring just to make sure that everything isn't like sunk all the way to the bottom. And again, I really like to use my funnel just in case. There we go. We've got our two cups. So it was 1 cup water, 1 cup of the apple cider vinegar. So once I poured it in, it really like stirred it up really well. And so now I see that they're kind of floating to the top. So this is where my fermentation weight comes in. So there's no like real easy way to like plop it in there. But I guess I'm just gonna do it. Okay, well, a couple of them escaped, but I feel like it's holding the majority of them down. So I'm pretty happy with that. I might mess with it a little bit more, but I'm gonna get this in the fridge, and then I will check back in with you in 2 days and we'll give them a taste test. So this is my first time making it. The brine is really, like I said, kind of generic. You can pretty much do anything that you want. You can cut up cucumbers and put them in, and add some onion and do all kinds of things. But this is my first try at pickled tomatoes. So we'll check back in a couple of days. Okay, so here we are a couple of days later, and I want to give the pickled cherry tomatoes a try. I did go in and kind of move that fermentation weight so it held everything down. And I'm just going to simply just open it, and I'm just going to dig in there real quick and grab the fermentation weight. Whoa, the sun just came out. And it's not real hard to grab, usually. So there we go. I'm just gonna set that off to the side. And then, yeah, they did float to the top. So I think like the pint of tomatoes to a quart of liquid, etc. So let's get a few out. Oh my goodness. They look so good. And you know, as you leave them in the jar in the fridge, they're just gonna get more pickly. So here we go. What I did was, if you saw in the video earlier, I pricked them so that the juice would soak inside, and this is day number 2. So here we go. Okay. I am pretty thrilled at the flavor of this. My husband's not here right now, but he is gonna go gaga, I think. So here we go. Something new to make with my Super Sweet 100s. We have had a bumper crop this year, And if you saw my earlier video of me doing the plantings, etc., and garden update, we've had thousands and thousands of tomatoes. So here, let me grab them out of the fridge, just what I have, and then I'll show you what I've got sitting over in the window right now, just to give you an example. Hang on. Okay, so this is what I have just right now. It has nothing that we've given away, what we've eaten, what we've cooked with, etc. Having a super bumper year because I changed up how I did my garden a little bit. I did not pull off the suckers, and if you have tomato plants, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's the ones that actually produce. And all these years I've been taking the suckers off just to kind of control the size of the tomato plant. But this year I did not do that. I wanted to do an experiment to see how they produced with leaving the suckers. So it was a pretty simple year. I did some pruning because the branches were growing at large, etc. But we are swimming in these super sweet 100s. So, and I actually have to go pick again today. And I normally pick when they're roughly, you know, like blushing, because we do have deer in the neighborhood, we do have squirrels, etc. And they just do really well, just, you know, ripening right over in the windowsill. So now I found something really fun to also make with these. You know, tomatoes are one of those versatile vegetables or fruit, whatever you want to call them. And I'm just gonna pop another one in my mouth. So I can't wait to share this with some friends. I'll give shout out to my friend Valerie. So that's what I was making. I put a little picture of the jar just to promote this video a little bit, to show people that you can step outside the box. So thanks again for stopping by my little channel. And if you like videos that if you like recipes that you can use over and over again, hit that like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time on Christine's Routines. Take care and God bless. And now I'm just gonna eat these few and can't wait for my husband to try it.